for now, we're exclusively talking villains. Again, we talked uh, about Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and Spider-Man at the beginning of this show. If you missed that for whatever reason, but for now, we will get into each of our. We each put down three. I mean, there definitely is some overlap. There would have been some overlap if we allowed overlap.
Yep.
So we'll let each person explain their picks and things like that. And obviously, all of us will jump in to talk about these because everyone had some fantastic performances on their lists. Corey, would you like to start? When you can start with your most non-traditional comic book one.
Yeah. I went with Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So a lot of people, they might not know that this was comic book, manga, uh type of setting. It was a book beforehand and, transferred into a film. So Jason Schwartzman's character, Gideon Graves, he's the main villain, the main ex-boyfriend, the last ex-boyfriend of Ramona Flowers. Um, I just thought that he, from reading the books, like he was able to just nail the character perfectly. Um, he's not in that much of the movie. He's not even really in that much of the book, but the way he represents the character and for the plot to drive forward the plot is awesome. Like he does such a great job. And I remember when the movie came out, I don't think the last volume of the book was out yet, so no one really knew how the story was actually going to end. And the movie was gonna show the ending of the story first. So it was a cool way to to kind of see how that whole story ended. Um, but Jason Schwartzman, like I've never really seen him as a villain personally. I mean, he's a great
He's not
actor.
a very intimidating man.
No, and he's not supposed to be. He's not intimidating in this either. But like he played like a great like emo villain, like that ridiculous like end boss of a video game. For this video game that is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Um, so I thought he was fantastic. And then my second pick was Michael Shannon from Man of Steel. Seeing all of your picks, like I was trying to think of like like other villains that just like killed it, in movies that the movies were not as notable as they probably should have been, and Man of Steel was definitely one of them. But Michael Shannon is without a doubt probably the best part of that film. Like he did such a great job as Zod. Um, every scene that he was in, like I remember like the scenes with Kevin Costner, or not Kevin Costner, with
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
I
That
was like, Kevin Costner's in
yeah,
that movie. Why are you doubting yourself?
he is in that movie. With Russell Crowe, and they were great. Like he was able to really encapsulate that character in a different way than the actor who played Zod in the Christopher Reeves films.
Terrence Stamp.
What's that goofy line he screams right before getting pulled?
I will find him.
Like space dildo sent off into. Yeah, I will find him.
I will find him.
He was just
pissed off Michael Shannon.
He is
terrifying.
He's such a good character actor. It doesn't. I mean, now I feel like after seeing The Night Before, the man can be a character actor in any type of role. He can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do fucking anything. So this was kind of in his wheelhouse. It was a strict character, and he went 100% and went in for it. And he was probably one of the most entertaining performances in the movie, I think. Movie as a whole was okay, but he was great. And then my last pick, which I'm actually like really surprised none of you actually picked this before me, is Michael B. Jordan Michael B. as Eric Killmonger in Black Panther. I mean, he's an awesome actor. Up until this point, seen him in, the Creed movies, seen him in so many other films, and he came into the MCU and he just killed it. He's definitely one of my favorite villains, probably other than Thanos in the entire MCU, I would imagine. His backstory was great. Like his motivation was very believable, and he put on like a really badass performance amongst everyone else who put on like Oscar like worthy performances in that entire movie. But he was just a great villain. A great villain.
Yeah, I thought about him. He's definitely one of my favorites in the MCU. I don't think I actually had any MCU villains in mind, unless you include TV shows, which are very loosely connected.
For
me,
Michael B.
Jordan's a great actor. I didn't think. I thought he could have been so much more in that role. I don't know. Everyone loves that villain. Honestly, it didn't do much for me. He had some cool parts, but
a lot of it for me was that they humanized that character very well, and like you felt for him. Like those are usually the best villains, I think. Where you feel like there's a blurred line between, is he doing the right thing or is he doing the wrong thing? And like, obviously like he was, he snapped and he was doing like absolutely the wrong things, but his motivation was a little gray. Like you kind of understood like, where he was coming from. And those are interesting villains at the end of the day, I think. So, and he's an awesome actor. So anything I think Michael B. Jordan does like is going to be good, but up against, everyone else in that movie, he shined very well as the villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the better MCU villains. It's not a tough category because MCU tends to like do MCU villains that are so forgettable.
Right.
I think I thought he did a great job. I think he probably could have used a little bit more screen time to just kind of flesh out his character a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I'd love to see him back in another Black Panther movie. I think not if they just ended it with Black Panther, it would be kind of a shame because I think there's still a lot more you can do with the Killmonger character.
Mm-hmm.
So sure. We'll see. Hopefully he comes back. I guess he's like technically dead.
He's dead.
No one's dead in comic books, though.
That's true. Also,
that's the other thing that MCU...
they can just drop some fucking blue goo in his mouth.
Sprinkle some fairy dust on him. He's good.
He'll be right back.
He's good as new.
What's MCU's obsession with killing off villains? Bring them back.
Is that a thing they do a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they kill a lot of them.
No one did it more than the old Batman movies.
That is true.
Yeah. No, Marvel villains have a very short shelf life.
I think
the only one that's still alive is like Zemo at this point, right?
And Vulture.
Dormammu didn't. Dormammu didn't die.
My theory on that, which
I've come to bargain.
Let's not forget Dormammu.
Terrifying.
Did you know Benedict Cumberbatch played Dormammu?
Yeah, it's just like
really? That's awesome. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the evil, scary cloud that is Dormammu.
My theory with them killing off so many villains is that they had enough of like a map of what they were going to be doing that they just decided like they knew like we don't need this character, this is our end game, it's Thanos, like whatever. So that's probably why they were just like and just like killed off these villains along.
Well, they had Loki alive forever.
But it's Loki.
He died. And
at this point, he's dead.
Yeah.
But is he Murph? Because he's still around.
In the other dimension, and they're probably going to merge dimensions, and then
they'll just merge, just be like Gamora.
And he's going to come back, and he's going to be alive, just another version of him.
alternate dimension Killmonger where he's good, comes back, and then boom, there you go. Michael
And-
Yeah, if they
and-
wanted to, they actually can do it easily.
Sure.
And Chris Evans is going to come back as Captain
Fairy
America.
dust.
Well, yeah, just
Old man Cap. That's
Oh,
what they didn't say.
I would watch the
He's coming
hell
back
out
as
of
old
that.
man Cap.
I would watch the hell out of that. Instead
don't
of a
want-
shield, he's got a walker made of vibranium.
Vibranium.
He throws it and it comes back to him.
Evans wouldn't go through the prosthetics. I'm sure every day he'd be like, hard pass.
Well, it's while Nick Fury's away in space with Talos. Old man Cap is in charge of things down on Earth.
That'd be
Fighting-
so. It's just a
fighting
bureaucratic
Galactus.
movie. He's just doing paperwork and shit.
yeah, it's a
All
political
right.
thriller.
Doug, who you got?
So sticking with the MCU, which I think all of my villains are Marvel villains now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
But none of them, like, it's not all three in the same, like, universe, really.
Yeah, none of them
Well,
are.
actually, one of them's about to be.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's true. So my first one, I did pick Thanos. Josh Brolin's performance, which isn't actually even like him. I mean, it's him, but it's not him. It's a CGI representation of Josh Brolin and his voice.
The CGI representation of Homer Simpson with
Yeah.
purple plastered over
With
it.
bald's chin, yeah. But wasn't it him? He was standing there and he had the pole on his head with
Yeah.
with a fake Thanos head on top.
Yeah, and then they had to. The way I understand why they do the CGI is they like watch his performance and then animate it to kind of match the performance that he gives.
Yeah.
So
all the dots on his face.
yeah, and so they try to kind of capture the performance that Brolin gave, although it's not. It's technically they could have changed things or modified things, but aside from all the technicalities that are involved with this pick, I love Thanos the villain, especially of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Just like he does such a great job of just being menacing, but also like stoic and like zen. And he's especially like when he has to sacrifice Gamora, whether or not it's part of it's Josh Brolin's performance, just like you could feel like how hard of a sacrifice that was for the character. I mean, Infinity War, when we were just talking about Killmonger and how like I didn't think Killmonger got enough time. Thanos had all the time in the world in Infinity War.
Yep.
I mean, it's basically Thanos' movie.
Yep.
But he's just such a good. I thought that Brolin does such a good job of portraying that menacing, larger than life character, but he's also like super zen and driven to just like his one ultimate goal, which is to snap away half the universe. And he's just not. It's not hammy. It's just a good villain. It's kind of like what I had been waiting for a while in a villain. It's just someone that's driven, but not. I mean, he's kind of crazy,
He's
but
crazy as
like
fuck.
He's
he's not hammy about it. He's not like I just want to destroy the world to destroy the world. He's got a reason, no matter how like twisted or how nonsensical the reason is. He's got a reason.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed Thanos, especially in Infinity War.
Okay, because
we
I was
get-
going to ask you, Doug, which Thanos is your favorite? Because technically, two different Thanoses. Do you like
Yeah,
Thanos
so
from
I have
Infinity
a-
War or Endgame?
Yeah, so I have a friend that like thinks that the Infinity War Thanos is like Thanos the hero, and he goes through like a hero's arc, which I don't necessarily agree with, but
He's no Billy Zane in Titanic, man.
You
I
could-
think
you could argue
his-
that.
there's people that argue it.
His
and
hero's
that he's-
arc of killing half the fucking universe. What a
and then he
hero.
wins. He dies like in Endgame, like the champion, the winner.
He did it.
He accomplished his goal, and he has nothing left to do other than farm.
Yeah, he's got to get that farm going.
Farm life.
Look at that livestock. But yeah, no, I mean, without a doubt, it's Thanos
You see
Infinity
him
War.
fucking.
It's
You
he's
see him
just
signing up for FarmersOnly.com.
When he comes to Earth, he's got that farm game on Facebook on his phone. He's like, I really got once I snap away everyone, I gotta get and do this real life.
When I was talking about how like nuanced and interesting Thanos was, that's all Infinity War. That all goes out the window on Endgame. When you introduce younger Thanos, that's just like the hammy villain that you come to expect.
He's still fun. Like, he's still a fun bad guy though in Endgame.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a
not
million
as
times
relatable
more crazy.
Who would have thought he'd be good after like all the appearances that he had pre-Infinity War?
All the dumbass appearances.
All those dumb fucking end credit scenes, his Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
I was wondering how he's gonna fight from a chair because that's all we ever
Corey,
saw.
Like Corey always kept going like, guys, he's gonna be amazing. Like, he's the best.
Okay, crazy guy.
And
trust
I was
me.
right. I was right.
And,
Actually,
and
I was.
Everything they kept putting in front of us was pure shit. And then Infinity War.
I was actually incredibly anxious for probably about 6 years or 5 years, whatever it was, because I'm like, they're gonna fuck this up, and if they do, I'm gonna be very upset. But they didn't. Thankfully, it was above my expectations as a fan of the comic.
It's definitely above my expectations. They had a lot to deliver after hyping up a villain for the last 10 years or whatever it was.
What's cool about Infinity Gauntlet is Infinity Gauntlet is basically Thanos' quest to get, all the gems. And there's a story before Infinity Gauntlet which has to do with how Thanos gets all the fucking gems to become an omnipotent. And they basically did that in their own way. And I thought that was like mind-blowing. And, Endgame was not as good, still amazing, but not as good. But like Infinity Gauntlet blew my fucking mind because of that. Because they did it in a way that was different than what I was expecting. Like, and it made sense in the MCU. So like I completely understand and completely get that they like probably worked on this part of the script for fucking forever, like to make sure that it was perfect, because they knew people would probably have like a goddamn aneurysm if they fucked it up. So it fit very well in what they were building up. But it was like an abridged version of like Thanos' quest, how he fucking got the all the gems for the gauntlet, but it was a little different than what he did in the comic, which was cool.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a cool dude. He's trying to help you out.
Unless you're on the wrong side of the snap.
He's just trying to save the world, man. He's good.
So I went to.
He could have just doubled up the food supply and all these other resources.
He could have done anything, Murph.
Killing half the fucking population.
He was literally God. He didn't have to just do this. He could have done this and like created more food. He could have done anything, but yeah.
Kind of a dick.
Massive dick.
What was that website? Do you guys remember where you could see whether or not you got snapped or saved?
No.
I'll definitely get snapped. I have terrible luck.
Yeah.
You guys didn't.
They did it on Reddit too for the longest time. You got banned. Yeah. You got banned from this certain subreddit if you got snapped, and you got redirected to a different subreddit.
There's if you just Google "did Thanos kill me?" there's like a website that you just click on it.
I died.
I was spared by Thanos, so
I was slain by Thanos for the good of the universe.
But it's kind of fun.
Thanos for the good of the universe as well. So. Just chilling coming at you live from the Soul Stone.
So it may just be me and Corey here. What's left from the brief film?
I don't know. Corey, I think I would die too.
Did you make it, Corey? All you have to do is
click the website. We gotta find out whether it's just Doug. If it's just Doug, then he's hosting the rest of the episode by himself.
Did Thanos kill .me? That's it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It'd be funny if we had done it and like the picture just like dusted away like JP and Murr.
Now everyone's Discord thing is fucked up now. Killing it.
All right, Corey.
Corey's finding out if he's dead or not.
I can just sit here and refresh it until I survive.
No, it's always the. Oh no, it's not always.
No, if you refresh it,
I'll go on incognito mode.
Oh, I was slain too.
Oh, it's just Doug for the rest of the
It's
episode.
just Doug.
Welcome
knew
to
it.
All right.
welcome to Avengers Endgame Live Breathe Film.
Welcome
It's
to
just Doug.
Live Free Film with Doug.
That's why I don't play the lottery. All right.
I mean, technically, it's better odds than the lottery, though.
Yeah, it's
That's
yeah.
true.
Let's do 50-50. All right, I think that's unless anyone else had anything else to say about Thanos.
No, we talked a
He
lot
almost
about
made
him.
Corey's heroes list back in December. So
Mhm. Yep.
That's true. He probably doesn't belong on the villain list. He was the hero of the Marvel movies. Well, probably a lot shorter for me is my next performance, which is Alfred Molina as Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2 of the Raimi movies. When we were talking about Green Goblin earlier, and we talked about how he didn't do a good job of portraying like a normal human being. I thought this was where like Alfred Molina shined.
Yeah.
Is he you could see like the
He was
humanity.
like
I mean,
a
he was just like
legit mentor.
yeah, legit mentor, legit like good guy that just like happened to have these robotic cans
murder
that,
arms.
Yeah, that made,
murder
him,
arms
that fucking made him a maniac.
that made him a
There go
maniac.
my arms. Murdering again.
I thought he did a good job of like
Oh, he's so good.
I believed him as like the good guy mentor. I believed him as like the villainous Doc Ock, and then like at the end of Spider-Man 2 when he's got that conflict going on. I thought he did all that really well. I think he's probably my favorite villain of the Raimi verse.
And he was cool because he kind of like came out of nowhere, even though he'd been in Hollywood forever. Like, I don't think any of us knew who Alfred Molina was at the time of casting. And then you're like, oh wait, he's in the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like fucking nearly 20 years earlier.
I don't know. I
Over
remember
20
him,
years earlier.
I remember him from Boogie Nights in that one scene.
Well, yes, now I know him from Boogie Nights. Amazing scene. But yeah, that performance was fantastic.
He's got some zingers too, like in
Yeah.
that bank robbery scene. He's got some good one-liners.
Yeah, he's throwing his one-liners like Joel McHale. Isn't he in the bank?
Yes, he's the guy that denies them the loan.
Joel McHale, such a dick.
Such a dick. Across all
Um,
universes.
And yeah, then Raimi's villains just went downhill after Spider-Man 2, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, 'cause, I mean, Spider-Man 3 was a fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah, you had the Topher as Venom, which was
Parker.
Hey, Parker. You had Hey Parker, and then you had the pie, so good.
So good.
And then I just want to save
my
my
daughter.
My
My daughter,
she's
she's
My
sick.
daughter, sick.
It's
she's sick.
okay. My daughter, she's sick. And I
And
also
they-
killed your. I also
Yeah, I
killed your
also
uncle.
I also retconned your uncle's death. So fucking stupid.
I love Thomas Hayden Church though. Man, what a bad
Yeah,
character.
I mean the movie's mildly amusing for how bad it is.
Oh yeah.
All right, and Doug, what was your last pick?
My last one, sticking in Marvel, but going to a now defunct TV show universe.
TV universe.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, Kingpin, the big man.
What a fucking awesome performance! To me, he's he makes that show what it is. He's just does such a good job as a villain. He's such an imposing character.
They did it right. They didn't fucking kill him. They let him come back for multiple seasons. I mean,
That's
he's
what
still
made-
alive.
Yeah, I mean, talking about like how we've talked about Daredevil before in season 1, 2, 3. But yeah, like season 3 is awesome because like he's still around. He's still like this force. He's had the way they do the physicality of that character and like the fight scenes when he's fighting Daredevil and he's just like a force
Yeah.
to be reckoned with. And that's one of those movies that are just like fighting choreography that's just done really well. because Daredevil relies more on like the speed, and D'Onofrio is just like this fucking powerhouse. So I love the fights between them, but the performance is just awesome.
And
he's
he's
just
another
such an
one.
imposing character.
He's another one that's been betrayed by multiple people. I mean, live action, and then Spider-Verse was massive, and Kingpin was in that. So
Yeah,
you
I was
had,
actually
what,
gonna have to put Kingpin on my list to combat Doug and put Michael Clark Duncan because so fucking good.
the original Kingpin.
The absolute best part of that movie was Michael Clark Duncan. As
Wait,
So-
it wasn't Bullseye?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not looking at anything right now, but Kingpin in Spider-Verse was Nicolas Cage.
No.
No?
Liev
It was
Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber.
Nicholas,
Okay.
Nicolas Cage was Neo, Noir.
Oh,
Spider-Man.
Noir
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Noir.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is probably up until like Thanos, probably my favorite Marvel villain live action was Vincent D'Onofrio. So
Makes sense.
yeah, I just thought he did a really
fantastic.
good job.
He does.
I hope they bring him into the MCU, like official, at some point, because both him and Charlie Cox were great.
He'll
The
be
entire cast
Spider-Man
of
3.
Daredevil was great. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
Should.
everyone else on Earth.
They'd be stupid not to. Honestly.
I'm in Spider-Man 3. Just found out today.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice, man.
I'm playing both universe versions of myself.
Is Tom Holland going to be in this Spider-Man movie?
There will be Spider-Man in this Spider-Man movie.
It's like Tom Holland is actually not reprising his role in this film.
The old bait and switch is going to be like Godzilla. They're going to kill off Tom Holland in the first couple minutes of the movie, and then you get stuck with Andrew Garfield again.
I would be okay with that.
There'd be like a
Fuck that.
there'd be a subsection of Twitter that would be like going mad, happy. Like
I'm not
don't
on
get it.
Twitter. I'm not on Twitter.
What is it,
but
like
I'm-
17 people that live in a basement?
yeah, I
I
think
would
they're
love
they're
that to happen.
They're like fucking tweens that are obsessed with Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, and Spider-Man.
I like.
Sorry
both
if
of
you're
them.
listening, people.
Corey's
Sorry.
like, I am one of those tweens.
I have one of those fake-looking accounts.
I liked that. I liked
Corey
their performances.
masquerades as a 13-year-old boy on Twitter.
I liked Andrew Garfield
Fucking
a lot.
loves Andrew Garfield.
I liked him. I thought he was good.
All right,
He's creepy.
JP, let's hear your picks.
Hey, I double dipped on Batman. That should be absolutely no surprise to anyone.
What is this? Our first Batman of the day?
Yeah, I
First
think it was
Batman
the
villain?
First Batman of the day.
All right.
I went with Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns because it's basically just her movie.
Not Sharon
Fantastic.
Stone.
What?
Catwoman. Sharon Stone.
That was Halle Berry.
That was Halle Berry.
I mean, Sharon.
Moving on.
Sharon Stone was the bad guy in the Catwoman movie.
Still a Catwoman movie though.
But Halle Berry was Catwoman. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. I think it's actually one of the better done villain origin stories of any, really, out of all the Batman movies, in my opinion. It's just so fucking dark and so cool. And I still remember being horrified when I first saw it, when she's in that room and she's destroying everything and the lighting is just thrown out the window. She just does such a good job, and she's in the entire fucking movie.
The cat's fucking like nibbling on her fingers. That shit, that scared the shit out of me when I was like 5 years old.
Yeah, and she has 9 lives throughout the whole movie, and she gets murdered in so many different ways, and keeps coming back. I think it's a really cool way of doing that character because they made her mildly supernatural, and she actually has some kind of powers to her. And
She didn't actually die. She still had a life left at the end.
She did, yeah. She electrocuted herself with
Max
Christopher
Shrek.
Walken and managed to survive that. I thought it was so cool and just such a vindictive, evil character, while still making you feel like, oh, maybe she's still good, but she's clearly not good at all. I love that portrayal, and I think it was just such an interesting take, and yeah, she made my list for that alone. I was just thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Even that costume is so iconic as well.
Yeah.
So well done. And I was thinking, between her and Danny DeVito, they're both really good in that movie as villains, but she definitely takes it to
All
another
three
level.
all three Burton villains are fantastic. And if you want to include Max Shrek, even, I mean, I think you can. He's great in it. He had 4 great villains.
He did a very good plotting businessman in that movie. Yeah, that movie's all about the villains' returns, and
they all represented a side of like Bruce Wayne, which was neat. Like the businessman, the orphan,
the crazy person in a black suit running around.
Exactly. That's the third side.
And the orphan, yeah. The older I get, I think the more I really enjoy and respect Batman Returns.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's a very good movie. It has nothing to do with Batman, though.
Christmas classic.
It's a great Christmas movie.
Shut up, Doug. We only have these arguments in Q4.
Yep.
Along with Die Hard.
Gonna have to
Great
save
Christmas
that for
film.
next year. I will remember that. And then
I was close to including her as well.
Yeah.
Who's your second?
Switching gears, I went to the newer Batman universe, and I picked Cillian Murphy, who played Scarecrow, which is my all-time favorite Batman comic book villain. And I think he did such a good job bringing that weird, over-the-top character into a very real-world setting. And he's not a very physically menacing human being, but just the way he delivers his lines in those movies is just so off-putting and so true to the character. And I absolutely love it. I remember back in the day when this movie came out, when I got it on DVD, I would go back and I would specifically just watch the Scarecrow scenes because I was so in love with that character. It was everything I wanted, and I wanted more. And I know we got snippets along the way in the in the rest of the trilogy, but it just wasn't enough for me. I thought they could have brought him back and really done some good stuff with him. He falls off a little bit in the second movie. He's a little uncharacteristic in the beginning of The Dark Knight, but I like that they
I attributed to it that he's still kind of fucked up from like the toxins at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, his send-off in the end of the first movie is so cool because unlike the Marvel movies, now you have this villain that persists, and he's a constant throughout all 3 of those movies in terms of villains. I just think it's neat. I really like the mask that they had for him. I like the way that they made his fear toxin part of kind of really like it's the spine of the entire first movie in terms of plot. And, I just even the way they film the fear stuff is very cool. And he's right up there. It's a close, 1 and 2. I don't think any of these are really particularly ranked for me because the next one is probably not the best I've seen, but it's such a memorable performance since Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I think for me, I know Corey said that having a villain that you can relate to is something that works for him. I like villains that are just flat out fucking evil. Like there are no redeeming qualities to Jake Gyllenhaal in Far From Home. He's just a fucking asshole, and he's out to just ruin Spider-Man's life and ruin Tony Stark's life, and he's just such a backstabbing, conniving bastard. And they do such a good job of building him up to be like maybe he's actually good this whole time, and you realize nah, he's just in it to fuck you over the entire time. And when he gets it, he's just totally cool with it. And you see him go off the rails more and more. He's willing to kill his own people, even though the one drone wasn't loaded. I really love that villain.
I liked how he's like definitely fucking bad guy. But even like when like he doesn't want to kill Peter, like he clearly like enjoys like mentoring him, his company. Like when he goes to the one guy, he's like, "You're responsible for me having to kill Parker now." Yeah. But then, obviously he's a bad guy if he's gonna kill this teenager, and all of the teenagers' friends.
Yeah, he's a fucking sociopath. He has to kill him at a certain point, and he's just like, oh well.
Yeah, those are the villains I love because they're so unpredictable, and you're like, oh, he's got a shred of humanity in him, and nah, not really.
No, he doesn't.
He just found a way to justify murdering a teenager. So he really can't be saved.
The way they
the reveal of him was so good.
Yeah,
so amazing.
The way they did Mysterio's just like different scenes where he was like trying to put, you know, Spider-Man under.
Oh, that fight with Spider-Man was so good.
Where he was trying to put him under, you know, like his spell and stuff like that, like was so good. Like they did that like perfectly. That because everyone who knew the character knew that was going to happen in some way, shape, or form, but how they did it was perfect. It was really well done.
It was about 15 minutes of not having any fucking idea what was real and what wasn't real.
Yep. Which
that was
sense.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great in 3D.
It was very trippy.
I was waiting for you to say. I was like, if he doesn't say it, I'm fucking making a joke about
it.
Never saw it in 3D, Doug. Sorry.
What's funny that I noticed though about just like the last two villains for JP is that the power set's kind of similar. Although one's technology and one's toxins.
Yeah, that's true.
They both are like
illusion. Fucking with the mind.
I like that. I like going through a story and not being able to tell what's real and what's not real, and not being able to trust what you're seeing. I think that makes for a really good movie. It's different than the typical just two superheroes beating the shit out of each other, throwing them into buildings and things like that. It creates a neat dynamic, I think.
Even though with Mysterio, it's always been chemical. And then in this, they kind of made it more technological, like where he developed technology, you know, to kind of trip you out. He stole technology, but still, it was different. It was a different take on, like, you know, on the character, and I thought that was really cool. Instead of making it, you know, like another type of like chemical dispersal that like fucked you up.
They did a great job, especially with the fact that it's not him actually doing a lot of the fighting; it's a stand-in.
Yeah,
and it's all illusions. I couldn't not put him on there. That was such a good villain. I think in recent memory, that's easily my favorite villain that they've done in the Marvel universe. Well,
Phase 3 had great villains, and
yeah,
like in comparison to Phase 1 and 2, Phase 3 is
so much better.
Oh,
yeah, so much better.
Just all around, like Kurt Russell, Michael Keaton, Jake Gyllenhaal. Wait, yes, was Homecoming Phase 2? Wait, was that 2 or 3? That was 3, right?
3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who the fuck was Kurt Russell?
He was in Guardians.
Ego, the Living Planet.
Ego.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about him.
Killmonger, Zemo, Thanos, Jude Law. He was okay.
He's alright.
Yeah.
And who was the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp? Walton Goggins?
Yeah.
More or less.
He wasn't great.
It's a crap movie.
So they were like 75% good, which was much better when they were 0% good.
In Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was kind of that chick. What was her name?
Ghost.
Ghost. She was more the main villain. She was forgettable, though.
She could have been so much cooler.
Whoever that was.
That was a forgettable movie.
Overall, I mean, they really Phase 1 and 2 had Loki, and that was like it.
Yeah.
I know, Corey, you like Ultron, but
I mean, I don't like Ultron in the movie, but I like Ultron in general.
Gotcha.
I like James Spader's voice, but the portrayal was kind of not great for me.
What a shame, because that trailer was fucking cool.
He was a perfect casting, but what they did with him was not exactly what I wanted. So I was very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Should have been the Russo brothers.
Because it was a perfect
should always be the Russo brothers.
Although they had their bust too, right? With did they do Thor?
No.
They were Captain America.
That was Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, JP's right.
They didn't do Dark World?
They were Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame.
No, they didn't do Dark World.
Alan Taylor. Alan Taylor did the Dark World after Patty Jenkins dropped out.
Oh wow, she was slated to do that.
Yep.
Man, that had a lot of promise.
She
I
didn't.
loved,
She didn't like the script, so she dropped
Yeah.
out.
I
Well,
like
that's probably
Dark World for what it was.
I love Chris Eccleston. I think he's awesome. But
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
shame.
He was
yeah,
underused.
they wasted him
Mhm.
so badly.
And he was still
That's
like
a
he was still good in what he did, but it was not enough. Like they should have given him way more of a role.
what a great segue into Murph's
Hell yeah.
pick.
Hmm.
Which
got,
one are you
No, we
which
lost
one are
him.
you segueing me to?
Doctor
Eccleston
Who.
was a Doctor Who.
Yep.
Oh, true. Good. Oh, that was a good segue. Yeah. But as for mine, my criteria is same as last time. I did one that I wasn't character I wasn't familiar with at all, one that my expectations weren't high for, and one where my expectations really couldn't have been higher. So the first one, Christopher, like you guys were just talking about, Christopher Eccleston, who played Doctor Who. I got another doctor. I got David Tennant for his role as Kilgrave on Jessica Jones, primarily season 1. He was in very little of season 2. But yeah, this was one that I had no familiarity with prior to the show, and I just thought he was like, I think it was the first thing I've ever seen him in, other than a little bit of Harry Potter, and I thought he was like a revelation. He just was like a menacing, charismatic villain with really fucking awesome supervillain powers. Like the first time you see him so casually just telling some guy to throw hot coffee into his own face because like he's like pissed off at him because he's the newsstand guy is like giving him shit for reading the magazine at the stand. I was like, wow, this is like an insane power. And, like there's so much you can do with it. And the things he does with it are like horror villain type things throughout the course of that first season. But he was just, a fantastic adversary for Jessica Jones. I mean, they had their history prior to the show. So when he comes back and turns out to be the big bad of the season, sparks just flew between the two of them. And they made a season that definitely did not need to be 13 episodes. I was able to handle it at the 13 episodes because that was kind of a problem with all the Netflix shows. Marvel Netflix shows. I think all of you guys have seen most of that season.
Yeah, I have not.
Yeah, I saw it.
Season 1, yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, David Tennant was great. I mean, I love David Tennant. I love David Tennant and everything. I think he's an awesome actor. I was a big fan of his Doctor Who performance.
I never saw it.
It's very different than Eccleston, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they lost me at that. That was a stark change. I stopped watching.
Yeah, it's like the energetic part that you saw in Kilgrave. It's just like a lot of that.
Yeah,
it's a lot of energetic and goofy.
Yeah, JP, you didn't like David Tennant as a doctor.
No,
right?
I didn't. Yeah, they lost me when David Tennant became the Doctor. I don't know. Everyone loves him. I couldn't get into it. I gave like half a season. I was like, I can't watch this anymore.
It's definitely a very different performance than Eccleston. Eccleston's very like serious. But yeah, I thought he was good and he's definitely like way more toned down than he is in Doctor Who with Kilgrave because he's a villain. But yeah, I thought he did a really good job. I thought, like you said, the power set super fucking dangerous. Telling people to like just point a gun at their head.
Yeah.
That'd get real intoxicating real fast if you had that power.
Yeah, and you could tell like this guy has been very intoxicated by that power and just is so used to like
getting everything he wants.
Getting everything, just like the unlimited power that he has. So yeah, I thought Dave.
Do you think that's one of those powers where you can't possibly be a good person if you have them?
It might be.
Yeah, probably.
It just really,
like that, really like tests your ability to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you'd have to exercise like a lot of restraint.
Yeah,
with having complete control over absolutely anyone. That's dangerous.
It's bad news.
It's bad.
The one thing I loved about his representation of the character, because I loved the Jessica Jones comic. It was awesome. Short, but it was fantastic. And going into, I remember when this show premiered, like I read the comic already, so like my bar was set very high in a lot of different respects for a lot of the characters, and he just like completely just blew the doors off of my expectations. Like he was fantastic, exactly what I was expecting in so many ways. Um, and just as a whole, like, you know, a lot of the show, like that first season, I still haven't seen season two, but for that first season, like they touched upon and did a lot of like, you know, the arcs in the comic, and it just it was very expertly put together, and he was so good.
All right, and then my number two was one that didn't have the highest of expectations for because I did not find Ian McKellen as Magneto to be like thrilling throughout all three movies previously.
Son of a bitch.
I know. Doug had him as on his hero list for some reason. When he was the clear villain in fucking the entire trilogy.
It's a matter of perspective.
And then I also
perspective on genocide.
I also have Magneto as my villain when you could say he's more heroic in this trilogy or quadrilogy than he is in the original movies. But yeah, no, I thought Michael Fassbender as Magneto was just a complex badass in these movies. When he's hunting Nazis in the beginning of First Class, all the way to him controlling the coin that goes through Kevin Bacon's head, Sebastian Shaw's, when he finally like accepts that like he's all about like mutants being the superior species on planet Earth. It was just a great arc. They definitely have a similar problem as the original trilogy, where he kind of like waffles back and forth between good and bad too often, which is annoying. I feel like in the start of the third and fourth movie, it's a very similar situation where he's like just trying to get away and be a good person, and then they come and attack him for whatever reason. Something happens, and then he goes into villain mode again. But other than the fact that the four movies dipped in quality every single time for the most part, I thought his performance was always stellar. So that was why I had him included. And then my last pick is pretty obvious. All four of us can absolutely talk about this one because all four of us love his performance, and the entire world fucking loves his performance. It is Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight. Like I said, one of this criteria for this pick was based on expectations, and they absolutely could not have been higher in regards to the previous performance of the character and how high that stature was of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Like, he had tough fucking shoes to fill just from that. And then it had everything to do with the Heath Ledger casting, and everyone or a lot of people being like, I don't know how this dude's going to work. And then just all the pre-release stuff. The expectations couldn't have been higher based on the trailers, posters, everything that the cast members were saying about his performance, plus his shocking death. That couldn't have made any performance more anticipated to see. And yet he absolutely crushed it. JP, you had mentioned that when you had Scarecrow or Batman Begins on DVD, you'd go in and watch all the Scarecrow scenes. I did the same thing with Joker and The Dark Knight. I basically watched an abridged 40-minute version of the movie, just going through all the Joker scenes. He was just that damn good, just mesmerizing. We've seen a couple Joker performances since then. At this point, I think they're all just trying to live up to Heath Ledger. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix or Jared Leto met it. they both tried to do different things to a degree. But I mean, I don't even think they met Jack Nicholson, either of those two.
No.
So that just goes to show how difficult it is and how incredible it was that we got this performance out of this guy at only 27 years old when he filmed the movie. So yeah, I know all four of us literally could not have been like more anticipating this movie. Like I think we mentioned it before. We waited like 12 hours in the city to see, or 8 hours in the city to see Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale talk about the movie the week before it came out. We all saw it at midnight. We all saw it in IMAX on opening weekend as well. And yeah, you guys by all means jump in on Heath Ledger.
They did so much to set this character up, even before the movie even came out. So they come out with that first picture of him in the makeup, and it was something else. And then right before this movie started, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was this augmented reality game that was going on.
Yeah, the viral marketing stuff.
Yeah, the viral marketing was insane. Where
that was like one of the first big
puzzles.
movies to do that.
Yeah.
We talked about
they had to solve.
We talked about Blair Witch last week, but this was the first one to do like really like viral marketing, like where it like encompasses the real world as well.
I was all over that stuff. I was on, God, I forget what forum it was, but every time something new came out, I was following that. And I really wish I could have gone out there and tried to find one of the packages that they put out there. I would have fought someone like it was, guy was in Batman, like I was in the Dark Knight. I was one of those people that when they announced Heath Ledger, I was like, there's no fucking way the guy from 10 Things I Hate About You can play the Joker. This is stupid. I wanted so-and-so. I forgot even who was up for the
who
role
you wanted at that time.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I had doubts as well.
And then
you could have been proved more wrong.
We all saw I Am Legend in IMAX opening weekend to watch that prologue.
Yep.
And then we all watched the trailer, like bootleg versions of the trailer on YouTube or whatever.
I promptly went
that opening weekend.
The prologue.
Yeah, exactly.
A million times.
Yeah. I mean, the prologue kind of gave you like a taste of what Nolan was going for, but I remember the trailer being like the thing where you really saw his performance, and it was just like, wow, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
Still
you
to
knew.
this day, I don't think he looks like Heath Ledger either.
No.
He doesn't. I always
No,
forget it's Heath Ledger when he's got like full makeup.
There's certain scenes where you get glimpses of Heath Ledger.
Yeah, they're like fucking split seconds.
Exactly.
Where you're like that smile, that's Heath Ledger.
Yeah. But
it's
Whereas
like once
Jack
or
Nicholson
twice.
is always Jack Nicholson
yeah.
with a fake smile on.
It
but-
couldn't possibly be more Jack Nicholson.
But as a whole, throughout his performance throughout that movie, like it was unrecognizable. Even still to this day, like it's just he completely just went in a completely different direction.
Yeah, and because he passed away, like he never did another role where you compare those two and be like, okay, he's doing similar things. Like that was just a one-off like movie, that character creation that we'll never see again.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even if Joaquin Phoenix can't do it, then I don't think we'll ever see it again where we get a Joker that's that innovative and game changing.
Yeah, I mean, he did for live action Joker what like Mark Hamill did for animated Joker.
Yeah,
and
very unique.
It's tough to like in both those mediums to ever top that, because they kind of just made the character their own and like as good as anyone could hope for. So
for a very long time when I read Batman comics, after The Dark Knight, it was Heath Ledger's voice reading out Joker lines in my head.
Yeah.
It's since gone back to Mark Hamill because I mean it's drawn lines, so that's the only way that makes sense in the grand scheme of the
exactly
universe. But for a very long time, that was
and Mark Hamill's still playing the Joker.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. We're lucky that someone has been able to portray a character for close to 30 years at this point.
Absolutely.
But yeah, though that was my three. Obviously, plenty of others. It was good. We got to talk about really all different sections of superhero film, TV history. Between Burton movies, Raimi movies, Spider-Man movies, the MCU, Nolan's movies, the TV shows. We kind of covered everything. But yeah, that's it. Anything, if we missed anyone, by all means, comment, challenge us. We want to hear your voice, and we're happy to do some reevaluations of any that you think we bungled.
Yeah, let us know why you think Colin Farrell is the greatest comic book supervillain as Bullseye.
Yeah, exactly. Why he was better than the version on Daredevil season 3. But yeah, that's all we've got for today. Thanks again for listening. Just a reminder that our yearly film series is resuming with Year 2000 this week as a bonus segment exclusively on YouTube. So that will be posted on Thursday, I believe, each week. But we're also now streaming our episodes live on Twitch every Monday night. We mentioned this for the first time ever last week. So around 8:30 p.m. on Mondays, Eastern Standard Time. We'll be on there. So subscribe to our channel. You'll get emails anytime we go live. We'll post on our social channels as well when we're going live, just so you know to jump on. And we'll keep doing it the way we've been doing it. But as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too. Thanks a lot.